Well, the video is ruined. But let me start from the beginning. A few weeks ago, during a routine check of the mail, SIRUI reached out and asked if I wanted to try out their new line of Nightwalker Cine lenses. They said they wanted a cool project, testing them out and pushing them to the limits. Something super creative, themed, and highly stylized. Oh, and it's only a 16mm Super 35 lens, so it's super specific. Any ideas? For some reason, I had the idea to do an 80s horror-themed fashion film. I'd always wanted to try my hand at a fashion-style film and thought the 16mm lens would be perfect for it. I really didn't have much time to get it done, so I did my research and came up with the plan. The first things first, I would have a model watching a vintage horror movie eating popcorn, and she gets scared after a big lightning strike. Then she gets bored and decides to go grab an old VHS camera to try and catch some paranormal activity. There's no real storyline, just very loose lines giving the model something to do. I really just wanted to lean into the retro vibes. So she plays around with the camera and does some poses. Then she gets interrupted by the doorbell, not knowing who it could be. There's a tense moment, and then it's just the pizza man. She takes the pizza and has her own dance party, and then all the electronics go wild in the house and the power goes out. She has disappeared, and a title card comes up. And that's the plan. So with the pre-production done, it was time to find a model. It was hard to find the right one at first, but eventually, I found the one. I immediately reached out as the shoot was only a week away, and then I waited for her response. And while I waited, I decided to get a bunch of props from Facebook Marketplace to help spice up the Airbnb a bit to match the vibe I wanted. Then I got a location lined up in a mid-century style cabin I found on Airbnb. The catch was, it was only available for 2 days the following week. After that, it wasn't available until the next year, which was perfect, except that I was still waiting to hear back from the talent. And without her, there was no shoot. So I held off on booking the Airbnb in hopes that she would reply soon. But things weren't looking good. But just as I was about to give up and cancel the whole shoot, I got a text from the talent. So we were a go, and I couldn't believe it had actually come together within just a few days. So everything was perfect. It was a close call, but we were officially at the day of the shoot. We had it broken down into 2 days of filming, half the first night and half the second. I arrived at the Airbnb super early and started setting up. We rearranged the furniture to create the perfect space. The place had a great vibe already, but I added a thrifted orange rug, a retro TV where I hooked up my MacBook to play a specific scene of a horror movie, and some books and chairs that were already at the place. After that, we pre-lit everything for the first shot and blocked out how we wanted the first scenes to go. It looked great and we were ready to go. The talent arrived and we got to filming right away. It was going smoothly and she was doing great. We ran into a couple of things that slowed us down, but nothing major. We decided to call it a night around 11 p.m. and we were really only a third of the way through the shot list, but we decided it was best to finish up the following night. So the next morning we got up, had some coffee, and prepared for day 2 of filming. Again, everything was on track and going great. Until it wasn't.
Hey, what's up? Everything okay?
Hey, well, not really. So you know that video I'm working on with SIRUI at that Airbnb? Well, yeah, the talent had a family emergency and unfortunately had to cancel tonight.
Oh no.
Yeah, so we're kind of in a pickle right now, and this is our last chance to film with Airbnb tonight before they're booked for until next year. So so we have to kind of figure this out, and we're filming in an hour.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, what do you want to do?
If you could step in and I guess pack a bag and let's get after it tonight.
Give me a second. I'm gonna pack some outfits and I'll be over there in an hour. Does that work?
All right, cool. I appreciate it. I love you.
All right, love you too, babe. Bye.
Okay, bye. So, we were starting from scratch 2 hours later than the night before, and we only had this one night to do it all. Let's just say I'm really lucky I have an awesome wife who's way out of my league and is great on camera. So with all the changes that had happened in the last few hours, I reshot listed everything to be slightly easier to get in one night, trying to make it as smooth as possible. But either way, it was going to be a long night. We barreled through the first half of the shot list, getting our whole intro scene. Then we moved on to the VHS scene, which definitely took the longest, as this was the bulk of the video. We decided to really utilize the wide-angle lens here, and I rigged up a magic arm connected to the camcorder, so it was attached to it as Jill moved around with it. These shots were some of my favorite, but they definitely wore Jill out a bit.
Oh, hold on. Okay.
That's it. Take a break.
Oh,
and then
hold
go
on.
back up.
Pause. Okay. I'm dying.
The one thing that was actually working out during this project was the SIRUI lens. This lens is a Super 35 lens, and I was shooting on my full frame FX3, so it had some pretty intense vignetting around the edges. However, since it was a 16mm, it had a really cool fisheye look to it, so I decided to keep it like that. But if you don't like it, you can just shoot in APS-C mode or use an APS-C sensor or just punch in digitally and that vignetting goes away. This lens is super well made. It feels like solid metal and has a good weight to it, like in a good way. It really feels expensive without the price tag. This thing also goes down to a T1.2, which is lower than your first AC would ever want to go. It has some distortion right on the edges, but I loved it. It almost reminded me of like a 2x anamorphic or something. Despite the edge distortion, it's super sharp everywhere else, giving me full control of how I wanted my image to look. All in all, this lens is probably the best cine lens I've used under $500. Next up, we had Jill just glitch around a wide shot of the whole living room. We just rolled the camera and had her do as many different things around the room as possible. The key here is having her bounce around the room in big ways to make it feel more dramatic. And then in post, I just picked the positions that aren't close to each other and it looks like she's just jumping around the room. Here we shot a bunch of tight shots of Jill's mouth, eyes, nose, and other movements as filler or transitional shots for the edit. Then we did some top-down shots where we had Jill do some movements for us and we did some cool little push-ins here just by rocking the tripod back and forth a few times. These shots ended up helping the edit be a little bit more dynamic. Then we had Jill getting the pizza delivery and having her own little party. The first shot was her answering the door where she drops the phone on the floor and walks by it. Then we recreated this famous shot from old school horror films. After that, we had our transitional clips after answering the door to her dancing and partying. So we shot some close-ups of pizza cutting, sauce, a bottle opening, and finished on Jill looking at herself in the reflection of the pizza cutter. That was harder than it looked to get.
Wait, are you kidding me down?
Huh?
Okay, I'm just gonna go.
Go. We missed it, Jill.
Are you gonna say action? Sorry, I'm trying again.
You're good?
I'm sorry.
I keep missing you.
It's my fault too, I keep moving.
It was pretty good. Let's do one more. Then Jill just ate the pizza and danced around. Unfortunately, at this point, all we had was cold pizza waiting for Jill, but luckily Hugh hooked her up and was our designated pizza warmer and delivery boy. This was by far my favorite shot, and I had been dreaming up how to do this for a while. I really wanted a shot where the camera moved with a ceiling fan. Instead of clamping a camera to a ceiling fan, which didn't even exist in the Airbnb, I decided to use a C-stand and a gobo arm with my camera on the end of it, and then clamp the ceiling fan blade, which I bought at Home Depot for $30, to the gobo arm underneath the camera. Then I just spin the whole rig on the C-stand. It worked perfectly. Before we knew it, it was almost 4 a.m. and we were done. We cracked a celebratory beer and got a little head start on cleanup. So at this point, you'd think I'd just edit the video and we're done. Well, when I got to editing, I quickly realized I had half the footage I needed. I didn't get any actual posed fashion shots, and the pacing felt all wrong. The original idea had basically gone out the window. I was struggling to feel good about any cut I was making. At this point, despite everything else we overcame, I wanted to quit and call it a loss. I knew I wasn't going to get the original video I had imagined. However, I decided I would still pivot and make a decent little edit that would serve its purpose and make all the work we had done worth it. So I got out of my little pity party, made a strong coffee, and sat down to figure this whole mess out.
La daddy daddy, I'm a walking party. I'm just getting started. Sorry, I'm not sorry. Ooh, I think I like it. I get too excited. Since you was invited, I wanna divide it. Why am I the flyest? I should be a man.
So, after several hours of playing around with different options, I finally landed on a cut that I felt good about. It wasn't what I had imagined or really what I wanted at all, to be frank. But instead of throwing a fit and quitting, I pivoted and made what I could, and I'm honestly pretty proud of what came of it. And in the end, I got to hang out at a sick Airbnb with my friends, filming a video, having deep talks, and sipping beers at 4 a.m. So when your next project goes all wrong, which it will, just remember to roll with the punches, work with what you have, and enjoy the process with people you love.
Kick down the door, be who you wanna be. Knock, knock, knock on the door, see who you wanna see. What's inside, what's out, from a whisper to shout. Get up, get down, it's your time to groove, so kick off your shoes. Get down, get loose, show off your colors, show off your colors, show off your colors, yeah.
It's not bad, huh?